All right, everyone. So the next financial asset on our watch list for today is the GBPUSD. And on the GBPUSD, we have quite an interesting position running at this point in time as we have been selling this asset since the beginning of the week. Remember, we had a buy position initially, but price has since then dropped to significant levels, breaking down our key level to incite the idea of holding on to a bearish bias in this particular market. Now, let's run through how the week started for us here in this community. So at the beginning of this week, we acknowledge a range initially where price was caught within our key level, which was situated at the 1.2600 level and the 1.25850, sorry. And we had the breakout of that range. You know how we do it in this community when we have this kind of flat channel. We want to exercise patience, waiting for either a breakout or breakdown of that range to give us an opportunity to either buy or sell. And of course, we had the breakout of the structure and price moved about, how many pips was that? Moved about 45 pips before this bearish momentum came in, taking us out of that buy position with a modest size of profit. Then we also buttress that if price at any point in time breaks down and retests the 1.26210, we shall be joining a bearish move. And since that moment, we have been selling the GBP USD. And if you look at the structure closely during our live session yesterday, we also acknowledge that we will be looking out for more opportunities to sell if price action goes on to break down the 1.246, which of course has since not happened since yesterday's trading session, as we saw price action fall into a range, as you will see here. So for those who have been part of this profitable journey so far this week, well done to you. At this moment, you should be running with over 100 pips in profit right now. And for those who still have a sell position running at this juncture, it is important that you want to be moving your stop loss accordingly to secure this current position. And for me, I would be suggesting that anywhere above the 1.2500 area, that psychological level there, we shall be using that area as a yardstick to place our stop losses. And remember that we want to be giving enough room for price action to breed as price goes to come back up to some couple of retests of that structure before the downtrend scenario happens. So with a well secured sell position at this point in time, what is going to be our next line of action? What is it that we want to be seeing on this chart? Are we going to continue buying the continue selling the GBPUSD this week, or are we likely going to be seeing some reversal setup, considering some profit taking activity after selling the GBP to buy the US dollar? So are we going to be seeing some profit taking activity today to incite a reversal setup? Well, let's take a quick look at the higher time frame. Let's see where price is at from an holistic standpoint. So scaling up into the higher time frame, we want to look at what things are looking like on the higher time frame. Now, to refresh our memories on what is going on here, remember, for those who have been with us for a long time on the GBP USD, I've said this countless of time that price action has been on a strong momentum since the last quarter of last year, as you will see here. However, our center of focus at the beginning of the week was not there, but around that 1.2600 level, a level which has played a major role in determining the direction of price action since the month of May. And you will look at, if you look at the structure closely, you will see how that level in the month of May was serving as a strong selling niche, as you will see here. Then fast forward into the mid-month of June, we saw how price broke out and in fact retested that structure, and since then price action had remained above the 1.2600 area to further emphasize the strength of the buyers around that area. Then one of the things we were looking at the beginning of the week was, will price respect that as that zone again to incite an uptrend like it has always been doing, or are we going to be seeing a breakdown that will incite a sell-off? Now, in addition to the structure here, we also identified a reversal pattern which was looking more like a head and shoulder pattern. So we have the left shoulder, we have the head, and we saw the transition of the right shoulder here into something like this. And if you look at the structure, it looks like a reversal pattern in the form of an head and shoulder. And you know how we do it in this community. Whenever we cite this kind of reversal pattern, the next thing we want to be doing is to identify the neckline. And coincidentally, the neckline also shares a confluence with that key level at the 1.26. So we needed a breakdown of that key level to confirm that reversal pattern, which was exactly what happened at the beginning of the week. And since then, we have been selling this asset. Now, once again, congratulations to everyone who has been part of this profitable journey. So now the question going into the New York session today is, will price action continue to drop to the downside, or are we likely going to be seeing a move in with the intention of retesting the neckline to incite a downtrend continuation? Well, to answer that question, we shall be zooming into that area around the 1.24750 level on our lower time frame to see what pattern or structure price action is evolving into, and of course this will be helping us to make an well-informed trading decisions for today. Now, scanning down into the 1 hour time frame, this is what I was able to spot here at the beginning of today's trading session. So the first thing I want to acknowledge here is the momentum in the market, which is very bullish at this point. And in fact, after taking into consideration the nature of price action since Wednesday of last week's trading session, you will see that we have a couple of descending trend line which further emphasize the strength of the sellers in this market. And you know how we use our descending trend lines in this community. As long as price remains below the descending trend line, we have no other choice than to continue to look out for selling opportunity. Now, if we look at the structure, let's zoom right in and see what has been going on here in the last 24 hours. Now, you will see here that in the last 24-48 hours, we have the 1.25 area, which has been a barrier for buyers. Now, despite the buy pressure we have been noticing here in the last 48 hours, as you will see, we had buy pressure, we had higher lows, as you will see, but as soon as price got into that 1.25 level, we saw how sellers negated all buyers' attempt to break out of that structure. And one interesting thing about that level is how it also shares a confluence with the descending trend lines we identified earlier. Now look at what happened during the early hours of today. Price came into that structure and we saw a huge engulfing bearish candle spring down from that zone to further emphasize the strength of the sellers in this market. Now, to further help us guide our decisions, I had this ascending trend line marked out after connecting the series of higher lows. So I was looking forward to the breakdown of that ascending trend line and the 1.249 to capitalize on a downtrend continuation, which is exactly what is happening right now. So we have a sell position running right now. If you are taking advantage of that one, well done to you. But if you had missed out on that one, it's okay. Let's see if the market will present more opportunities to join that trend. And one of the things we're going to be looking out for more opportunities is a potential retest of the structure that was broken, where continued selling pressure around that area will be all we need to join the downtrend scenario. And if price continues to the downside, to break down the 1.24600 level, we do want to be adding more position to our existing trade to maximize the potential of this bearish move. So this is how we are going to be selling, and if you look at this closely, you will see how price still remains below that descending trend line to further emphasize the strength of the sellers in this particular market. So let's continue to look out for more opportunities to sell the GBP USD for today. Now, in as much as we're looking out for selling opportunities in this market, remember that we cannot ignore the potentials of buyers in this market. You know how we do it in this community. We also want to keep our options as open as possible so that whenever the opposite direction happens, we are also going to be on standby to maximize that move. Now, if we are going to be considering buying the GBP USD today, what is it that we want to see that will make us feel comfortable joining and negating the idea of selling? Now, to buy the GBP USD today, the only condition and criteria I want to see here is for price to break out of that 1.2500 level. Now, if price breaks out of that level, price would also have broken out of this descending trend line, and you know what that means. When price breaks out of a descending trend line, it will be a sign that the trend line might not be able to negate the bullish attempt anymore, hereby giving us a good signal to start getting ready to join a bullish move. Now, if we are going to be joining a bullish move here, remember that we are not going to be getting too excited at the breakout of the 1.25, neither are we going to be having a buy stop order yet, as we will need some confirmations to happen before we jump into any buy position, as the breakout could still turn out to be a false breakout. So all we want to be doing as soon as we sight the breakout of the 1.25 is to scale down into our lower time frame, the 5, 10 or 15 minutes time frame, to look out for confirmations that sellers are finding it difficult to break back and stay below the 1.25, and this of course would reflect on the chart as a retest of structure. It could be the retest of the 1.249, retest of the 1.25, or any of the descending trend line, where the appearance of buy pressure will be all we need to join an uptrend continuation. So mind you, the only condition that will make us want to start considering buying the GBP USD today is for price action to break out of that 1.2500 area. So you do want to be marking out that level on your chart, and let's see if that is going to be the case. But at this point in time, I'm still thinking price will still continue to the downside, breaking down the 1.246. But if it doesn't and it breaks out of the 1.25, obviously we want to be getting ready to be part of that uptrend continuation. So let's mark these levels out on our chart, as we shall be needing them as a reference point to guide our trading decisions for today's trading session. So that is my view here on the GBP USD for today. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I am here and willing to be of help in that regard.